You're listening to the Sidewalk Prophet.
Appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. This is a continuation of last time. So if you heard the first fulfillment of your destiny, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. If you heard the first fulfillment of your destiny, this is going to be the second part. I'm doing fine, sir. So, sit down, make yourself comfortable. You're in the Freeman house, so sit down, make yourself comfortable. Join us. We're going to have some fun today. We are going to have some fun today. We are going to have some fun today. Oh, thank you for the compliment. Hey, this is a Christian podcast. What you doing? This is wrong channel. No, I'm not an end times preacher. I don't know much about end times. I never really felt led to learn anything about end times. So, nah. Never really felt led. Yep. Okay, yeah, while we wait, let's talk about last time. So, let's have some fun. Last time we talked about fulfillment of your destinies in the spirit realm. That message talks about how you cannot reach your maximum potential, or you cannot reach your destiny without God. It's just a reality. God is the only one that truly knows who you are. He's the only one that knows who you are as a person, who you are, all of the gifts and talents and things that he put in you. Only God knows that. So when it comes to that, he's the only one that can unlock the gifts that he put in you, but also can develop your faith to the point where you're able to walk out what it is that he's designed for you to do. So, yeah. So it's that type of thing. Do a backflip. Come on, man. I ain't doing no backflip. I'm trying to have a little bit of, I got you, a little bit of dialogue. Yeah, I ain't doing no backflip, man. What you think this is, TV or something? Yeah. So that's what it is. Your destiny. That's the only way you can find it is with God. You know what I mean? You can't get there. You cannot get there. Somebody say you can't walk on the water unless you get out the boat. Yeah, it's a little bit to that walking on water thing. So it's a little bit to it. That level of faith. First of all, he saw Jesus, somebody already walking on water. You know what I mean? So it's a few steps to that. It wasn't something, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't crazy. The only reason he tried it because he saw Jesus doing it. All right. All right, so are we ready to get started? Any other questions? Anything y'all want to talk about? Are we ready to get started, B? All right, let's get started. Let me turn this radio down. Let's get in there. I'm a lover of the word, so I'm doing this stuff all day. I mean, this is what I do. So, you know what I mean? I love learning the word. I love teaching the word. I mean, that's where I get my kicks from. So, that is where I get my kicks from. Always been a lover. Anybody else a lover of the word? Anybody else find themselves attracted to the word and, you know what I mean, learning about God and stuff like that? Like, it's kind of insatiable with me. I can't get enough of learning about God. I mean, I can do it all day. I mean, the realms is so unlimited. You know what I mean? It's like the moment you think you know God, that's when you figure out you don't know nothing. You figure out you coming up way short. So you're ever learning. You know what I mean? You're ever learning. I'm trying to see if I recognize anybody in here. Trying to see if I recognize anybody. All right, let's get into it. Okay, this is a special teaching. This is everybody can be here, but this teaching is directed at a specific person. This is part 2, the fulfillment of your destinies in the spirit, part 2. But this one is for the underdog. All right, let's get into it. I'll give you a foundation to this. For years, I felt like I was underestimated, undervalued, and all those things because there was so many dreams that I know God put in my heart. But people just never believed that I could get there. You know what I mean? And so I would tell people my dreams and my hopes and aspirations, and they just couldn't get there. You know what I mean? By faith, they couldn't get there. But not only could they say I couldn't get there, they were like, God can't get you. I mean, that's in essence what they're saying. So if you say something and somebody tells you you can't get there, they're basically saying the power of God can't even get you there. You know what I mean? They counting him out, you out, everybody out. I mean, that's how they underestimate you. So let's get into it. If you've ever been victimized, oppressed in any way, do not let that be your whole story. So let's say something happens to you. Don't let that be your whole story. Because though you have been through whatever situation by no fault of your own, it could have been a situation that wasn't even your fault. Your Father, God, is well aware of the situation. And it is within you to take the ink pen and be able to write out the story of the rest of your life. So you can get in God, take the pen, and begin to determine your own future. You know what I mean? So don't let the enemy, don't let people with no faith, don't let anybody like that dictate your story or write your story. Or don't let anybody write you out, man. You take that pen and you get in God and you start writing it out, you know. Find out. The best example I can think of biblically was Joseph. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers. You know what I mean? He had dreams and aspirations, but he was sold into slavery by his own brothers. Then there was David. When it came time to pick a king, and they knew whose lineage it was supposed to come out of, whose house it was supposed to come out of, David's father didn't even consider. I mean, that's the sad part. He wasn't even considered among his brethren as one that could be king. I mean, that's how, you know what I mean? That's how much they counted him out. They didn't even think he wasn't even a factor. You know what I mean? And the sad part is one of his other brothers, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You could tell that none of them believed it was going to be him. Because none of them even said, wait a minute, Dad, what about David? You know what I'm saying? It was just a ridiculous thought. That's how bad they counted him out. So if you've ever been underestimated, undervalued, if you've ever been counted out, don't let them finish your story. Don't let the enemy finish your story. That's right. The enemy has a desired end for you. You know, the scripture says God has an expected end, but the enemy has a desired end too. You know what I mean? And it involves you doing nothing and getting out of here as soon as possible. That's what his plan is. Don't let him finish your story. Start living within and take control of the narrative of your own story. So start living from that voice from within. Let the Christ from within you start determining your life. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. I got to a point in my life, man, where I really felt like I was like almost like not in control. You know what I mean? I was working for a church and I was serving and stuff, and I was doing everything everybody wanted me to do. But it really felt like I wasn't in control. And then one day I had like this episode, man. It was just like the Spirit spoke to me and was like, from now on, you're going to begin to live your life from the inside out. Do you know what I mean? And from that voice within, because I knew the voice was there the whole time telling me that I was going to teach one day and that I was going to do these things and achieve these goals and I was going to be a leader. And so I knew that voice was telling me that, but it was no outward manifestation. And so, yeah, the Spirit told me that you're going to start living. And what happens is you start learning to live by that voice in the little things. You know what I mean? And then what happens is that tree, let's you just use an example, that tree inside you begins to grow to the point where it begins to function on the outside. So here we go. It was known to all my friends. So I vocalized the fact that I wanted to preach and I was going to preach to thousands. Like, I wasn't holding it back. I was telling everybody, I'm going to preach one day. It's going to be a lot of people when I preach. You know what I mean? I'm going to affect a lot of people. Even to today, ain't no shame in my game. I'm telling you, I'm out to disciple a nation. Y'all want churches and stuff like that. I want to disciple a nation. Okay? I want God to put what he's doing in my life, the joy that I have, the peace that I have, the things that he's doing in my life. I want him to put that joy, that love, that desire for him on an entire nation. That's what I want. So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, big dreams, and I ain't afraid of them. Anyway, here we go. So it was known that I wanted to preach, and a preacher told me. So I was vocalizing this so much. And a preacher, it was not one preacher, it was the main preacher. God had the main preacher come by. I ain't gonna say God had, because I don't believe he was led by the Spirit when he did this. But the main preacher came by and told me, he said, you are too weak and you are too soft. That's what he told me. But let me tell you how this is working. So here we go. I had a word from the Spirit telling me that I'm going to be led from the inside. Now you hear it now? You seeing how it works? The Spirit told me that I'm going to be led from the inside. So now here's the test. Are you going to listen from a preacher telling you that you will never preach? Or are you going to listen to the voice from the inside telling you it's in you to preach? And the moment that preacher told me I would never preach, I will never become a big preacher, guess what the Spirit showed me? Because he said I was too weak. That was his reasoning. I was too weak. I was too gentle. I was too kind. If I had a church, somebody would take the church from me. This is what he was saying. You know what I mean? That's what he was saying, because I was so weak. But listen to this, though. Let's have some fun with it. So he's saying that the moment he said that, God put Joel Osteen in my heart. I don't know if you've ever heard Joel Osteen before. Joel Osteen preaches to 70,000 people a week. 70,000 every week. And Joel Osteen is one of the gentlest human beings I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's very gentle. You know what I mean? He's a mild guy. He's very gentle. But the moment he said I would never do it because I was too weak, God put Joel Osteen in my heart. So hold up. I would never. What about Joel Osteen? He preaches to 70,000 people a week. What are you talking about? Come on now. What are you saying? So God, from within me, unearthed his argument. He dug that mess right out. You know, that had no place to land in me. You know what I mean? But God was showing me that that's the voice that I need to start trusting, because people from the outside, they're not going to confirm what's within you, what's going on inside you. They're not going to finish your story. And I'm telling you this, don't let people outside you finish your story. You write it. You write it. You write it. But what they don't know, and that's it, they don't know that there's a voice inside you leading you. That's why Joseph had his joy in prison. He had a voice. If you hear the scriptures talking about Joseph came in the prison one day, and the guys was in there, and they were looking depressed. And Joseph came in, they're in prison. Joseph came in there, why are you guys looking depressed? Well, that's why Joseph had his joy, is because he had a voice leading within him. It was said that there was a spirit on him that he prospered wherever he went. If he was in prison, he prospered. Wherever he went, he would prosper. There was a spirit that God put on him. Don't let the world finish your story. If you live in a country with a corrupt government, that's not going to be the end of your story. That's not going to be the end of your story. If you live somewhere and it's under oppression, depression, seems like things are never going to change, that's not going to be the end of your story. You write the story. Don't let them finish your story. Get with the author. Get with the author and ask him what he wants to see in your story. Get with your creator, get with God, and ask him what he wants to see in your story. Let's go to the scriptures. Jeremiah 29, verse 11 through 13. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 through 13. Turn to Jeremiah. And y'all can comment if y'all want. That's right. Somebody said, I write my own story. That's right. Don't let nobody write it for you. Because one thing, they don't know you like God knows you. You know what I mean? They're not intimate enough with you. They don't know you like God knows you. You know what I mean? It's sadly enough, let's say you're in a relationship and your husband doesn't truly know you. But let's say God, nobody knows you like God. You know what I mean? Your husband knows you, but nobody knows you like God. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not of evil. There we go. To give you an expected end. And then you shall call upon me. That's it. Then you shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken you. I will hear your prayers. And you shall seek me, and you shall find me. There you go, when you find the Lord. And when you shall search for me with all your heart. So God is saying, when you start searching for me with all your heart, you're going to find me. But then he didn't say you're going to find him. When you find him, you're going to find the thoughts that he has toward you. You're going to find the thoughts of peace and not of evil. And he's going to give you, when you find him with all your heart, he's going to give you that expected end. So it's all in that scripture. It's all in there. It's time to seek the leading of that voice with all our heart. That's what we want to do. Seek the leading of that voice with all our heart. That voice says you have an expected end. The same voice that told Jeremiah that he was a prophet, that is the same voice that told David he would one day be king. It's the same voice telling me to tell you, seek him with all your heart. Seek that voice with all your heart. Let the voice of God finish your story. Don't let the world define you. Don't let the enemy define you. Your creator, that's who defines you. Your creator. Let him finish your story. I promise it's going to be big. I promise it's going to be glorious. I promise it's going to be miraculous. Let the author finish your story. Nobody else knows your story. Nobody else knows what you're capable of. Only your Father. The fulfillment of your destiny is in the Spirit. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the Sidewalk Prophet Podcast. For questions and comments, please email us at churchpodcasters.gmail.com.